Hello, friends, and welcome back to another Needlessly Nostalgic. I'm one of your hosts, Tyler Nichols, with my other host, Lance Velchek. Lance, we are officially into the Evil Dead franchise, and I am so glad that we made this choice because I am already just having so much fun going through these.
It's always been one of my favorites, but I completely agree. Just going back, I've watched a couple commentaries. It's brought me back to my teenage and junior high years, man. It's, you know, and I watch these here and there, so it's not like I haven't seen these in many years, but I don't know. It's one of those, I didn't realize how comforting these are, like how just joyful this makes me. So yeah, dude, I'm always down to talk Raimi and Campbell.
I'm curious because I assume that you are like me in that you just watch, like you might just, it's watching these in order doesn't happen that often.
No, it's all what I'm in the mood for.
Yeah, because I've realized that because when I went to throw in Evil Dead 2, I was like, oh yeah, I think I've watched this twice this year already. But then with like Evil Dead, it had been probably a year and some change. And then Army of Darkness, I think similar just because I hadn't owned it on 4K yet. But that has been rectified due to us covering the franchise. So, but when it comes to Evil Dead 2, how many like physical media things have you purchased for this? Because obviously the Evil Dead franchise has been very known for multiple physical media releases, and Evil Dead 2, I think, has been done the least of the trilogy, but I can't completely remember.
That's a good question. I honestly think this has been my least double dipped. I have the limited edition 10, which I went on eBay and you could get for like $15, but I always felt that was like a really cool, important thing to me. It's actually, I watched the commentary on the DVD because I was like, that'll probably be the oldest commentary, so I was more curious about that. But you know, like you, I had the DVD, I had the 10 DVD. I think I got like a generic Blu-ray, which I don't have anymore when it first came out in HD, and then I have the double pack of the 4K. So I guess in my life, I've had 3 copies. Surprisingly, only.
Yeah, surprisingly, you would. I guess this must just be one of those films that doesn't have quite as many as some of the other ones. I did find an image that I will be sure to post on our Instagram as well that has, if not all, then most of the Evil Dead releases, and there are so many for the first film, and they're like, it's kind of out of control. The more I look at it, the more it might be just Evil Dead, and the only Evil Dead 2 stuff is the when it's like paired packs. But regardless, it's a great indicator of how many of these physical media releases that there have been for these companies, because the rights issues for these films have always been all over the place.
It's funny looking at these. I actually think I had the Blu-ray double pack. I think that was my first Blu-ray of Evil Dead 2. I was not lucky enough to get the Book of the Dead. I had it for the first, not the second. But this brings me back because I've seen so many of these in my life, you know, like going to conventions in 2000.
Yeah, it's nice to see the many different covers, because there's one that's very badly photoshopped with Ash and what would be, is it Sheila, his sister, Shelley, or
yeah.
Cheryl?
Cheryl. Cheryl. Yeah, sorry. Yes.
Cheryl's the sister, and her in demon form, yeah. And they're just like, it's terribly photoshopped on, like they're in the background, and it's red. Everything about it seems so against the regular aesthetic for Evil Dead. Yet I remember that cover so well. But I was actually fortunate enough you and I are opposite. I actually owned Book of the Dead for Evil Dead 2, but I did not own it for the first film.
That's my biggest regret, because I told you that I think as maybe my Blu-rays are tight in my old case. So that cover like essentially disintegrated. And if you go on like eBay, it's like $200. I'm like, God damn it.
That sucks. The only thing that I am disappointed in with my Book of the Dead 2 is that the battery has gone out, so it no longer, when you press the eye, it doesn't squeal like it used to.
Did you ever put it in the fridge?
No, does that help it?
Well, not not so. I'm assuming it's the same. So the book did number 1. I remember the packaging on the back saying, "Put it in the fridge for like 5 minutes or maybe 10. It'll feel like real cold dead flesh." So I used to like show all like my parents and their friends, and they'd fucking be like, ah. So I don't supposedly like that's what it's supposed to feel like.
Really? I mean, I'm sure it wouldn't shock me because I'm pretty sure because I have felt the original and they're the same. They should be the same material. So
put it in the fridge and it should be, it supposedly should feel like cold dead flesh.
Well, now if I ever do that, have a haunted house maze where you reach into something that like the eyeballs, dead flesh.
Old school stuff.
Yeah. And I was able to do this viewing with my Evil Dead Groovy collection, which it's the first 2 films on 4K, but it also includes the 3 seasons of Ash versus Evil Dead. It's a wide set, and it's in the picture. It's in the picture that we will post to the
bottom
Instagram.
Right, yes.
Yeah, in the bottom right. It looks gorgeous, but it also shows the dumb rights issues, and it's why Army of Darkness is not mentioned in Ash versus Evil Dead, and like not included in amazing sets like this because there's just dumb rights issues with this franchise.
Yeah, I was going to buy that. I never did, but it might be maybe because Army of Darkness was in there, but I remember this is on sale. It's 4K. It's a cool long box. I'm like, oh man, I still might. Who knows? If it goes on sale, I have no self-control.
Oh, trust me. I got it ages ago. And every time it comes up and it goes on sale, I tell people like, I'm pretty sure that I've sent it your way in the past when it was on sale.
But it is one of those things that I own both the movies in 4K. I have the double pack. In fact, in that picture,
you don't need it.
Yeah, no, like it could be just to have it again. So that's the only reason I don't. But that doesn't mean I won't. It just means I try to be like, hey, why?
Yeah.
There's no reason. It's just you're buying the box. But I'm a kind of guy that for this series, I like having a bunch of shit. I don't know. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a fun franchise. Well, and let's get into it. Evil Dead 2, this was made in 1987, released in 1987, directed by Sam Raimi, written by Sam Raimi and Scott Spiegel, and starring Bruce Campbell, Sarah Berry, Dan Hicks, Ted Raimi, Lou Hancock, Richard DeMeyer, and
sure.
So many fake Shemps that you can't, like the fake Shemps in Evil Dead. It's always hilarious to see because there's just so many of them. And for those unaware, they label, anyone gets the fake Shemp label if they were a hand, if they like any portion of helping out during filming and like on camera, usually as a deadite, that always gets the fake Shemp label.
And of course, a label that comes from good old Three Stooges.
Yes. Because for anyone that's not aware, they're big Three Stooges guys. So, and this is not, and they've randomly decided they dropped the off of these. Do you know the reason why they dropped the?
No, I never even thought about it. Maybe because Evil Dead just rolls off the tongue better.
I believe you are correct. I think it was a Dino De Laurentiis ask because Dino was Italian and wanted everything very simplified. And it makes sense. I think Evil Dead, I mean, I always call it Evil Dead, not The Evil Dead, except for when we're having to actually explain, go over the title.
I mean, I to this day can call the first one Evil Dead, even though I know it's The Evil Dead. So it's just, it's easier.
Yeah.
And it almost makes it now that the first one's just kind of awkward.
Yeah.
Like fucking just sticking out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, and since I have watched this movie at least twice earlier this year, for this viewing, I decided to watch it with commentary. And this commentary may just be my favorite commentary for any film out there. It's Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, Scott Spiegel, and Greg Nicotero just having an absolute blast the whole time. It improved my Saturday night so much just because I kept thinking, I'm like, yeah, if I was just watching the regular version, I would have fun. But this commentary makes me feel like I'm hanging out with buddies because it's this energetic and entertaining.
So that makes me really happy. I watched it twice, once yesterday, once today. I watched the 4K, and then today I woke up early and I put on the DVD and I watched the commentary, and I wasn't sure if it'd be the same commentary because sometimes
yes
they'll do it again because this is the DVD I have came out in I think 2000, so that's fucking 20 years ago or about to be 21, I guess. And it was that exact one. And I remember, and I wrote even my notes like there is some interesting information, but it actually might be one of the worst commentaries for like real details because it's actually them just kind of fucking around, and it's so infectious. It's so just fun. And then I remember that this is probably one of the first commentaries I've ever heard because, DVDs were a relatively new thing in around 99, 2000. And like, I got into Evil Dead's at a young age, and like this was probably one of the first ones. And I remember this and like Army of Darkness are my barometers for how commentary should be. Like it's just people hanging out, fucking around, talking shit, some interesting facts, but they're all just sort of, I don't know, hanging out. And you're good. I'm glad that we had the same one. I was nervous, thinking like, man, what if like you found or you listen to a newer one that's like more factual and interesting, and you're going to bring up all these cool stuff? Because I have notes, but again. Like just Nick Cotero bringing up facts where Sam Raimi's like, oh, I don't remember that. And then, Bruce is like making fun of Sam's brother. I'm like, oh, dude, this is the best time of my life.
Oh, it's incredible. They bring up stuff like, oh, remember her? Like they forgot to credit the line producer, and she came up to them at the premiere crying, or maybe it wasn't even the premiere, a screening, went up to them crying. She wasn't in the credits.
Yes.
It's funny to see even during the end credits. It's like, because there is information. It's like Bruce mentions, he's like, oh, because like the prop master was listed as stunts. So then they bring up, they're like, oh, what did she do? It's like, I don't know. So it's like we find out interesting stuff where it's like, oh, the prop master was then used for one of the female stunts, but we don't know anything outside, like any actual detail about that. So there's information, but it's very broad information. But it's just 100%.
Fun. Yeah. It's like a lot of it's them not remembering exact details, or like they'll start with the scene and then just kind of like mess around. Like there was something, Sam's brother, what's his name?
Ted.
No, the other one.
Ivan.
Writer. Is it Ivan? Because he wasn't in there right now. It had to be Scott Spiegel.
Yeah, Scott.
Then. So then it was Scott talking about, is it Linda, right? Linda's the girl at the beginning, Ash's girlfriend. And she's like picking out shirts and like give her a loose one, a tight one. She picked a tight one. And then he says to this actress during the screening, which is hilarious, he goes, hey, jokingly. And it's funny because obviously this is recorded in the 2000s and would not go over well now. But I guess he says to her, and I've never heard this phrasing because it's hilarious. Hey, hon, you want to play house? You can be the screen door and they'll slam me all night.
Oh my God.
That's just like that type of humor I haven't heard in years.
It's just funny. Like, I think the thing that really stood out to me in the commentary is that I really enjoy friendships that you give each other shit. All of my most successful friendships are built off of that. It's just like, yeah, you just give each other shit, like make fun of each other. Like, they're very simple little thing. But then, because they're constantly jabbing at each other, but no one takes offense. They know it's a joke. They just move on. Because like I miss that. It's such a thing. Because it's like we're in this weird society where then I've offended so many people because this is my kind of sense of humor. Where then I'm like, wait a minute, why aren't you just letting this roll off your back and then hitting me with something? Like, that's what you're supposed to do. It's a fun little, like, so sensitive. And I don't know, listening to this commentary was like very cathartic for me, because it was just like kind of reminding myself of like, yeah, people do behave like this, and it's not fucking being an asshole which everyone tries to make it into.
No, that's a newer thing. Our entire existence, it wasn't a thing, and that has a lot to do with social media and the internet being sort of raising kids. But no, this is 100% just friends hanging out, and I couldn't recommend it enough. And obviously, it's the same one on the 4K than it is on the DVD. So this is the one. Please listen to it. And also you could hear like the youthfulness, and it kind of made me sad. Like Greg Nicotero's voice is different. I talked to him on the phone years ago for an interview, and I think you did one on camera, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like hearing him young and be like, oh, dude. I'm like, oh, fuck. Oh, I miss being young, man. The days. It's just, you could tell they're just all just excited and living it up, man. So it was fun. And I got some good stuff out of it. Some good notes. So it'll be fun to talk about.
Cool. Well, let's get in the film, because we talked a little bit about it in our first Evil Dead episode, how they did not have the rights for the first film, so they ended up having to kind of retell the story, which there was even like a fun little mess up on commentary where they mentioned that I think it was Scott thought that they had filmed with some new Scott, where they had done everyone in the group, but then it just got whittled down to just Ash and Linda. But that didn't end up being the case. It kind of shows how much like memory can fade over the years, and it's like they clearly probably planned that out in pre-production, and so then it's like you just kind of mix details up in the decades since,
conflating, being on the first movie with the second.
Yeah,
I'd say like I kind of miss having more characters, but at the same time, as much as I've seen this movie, this is probably the first time that I really looked at the time, and it's like they summed up the first movie in only 6 minutes. So it's like, we don't need a bunch of characters. We got Bobby Joe, we got Jake later on, the guy and the girl, I can't think of their names right now. So it's like we get more characters anyway, so I don't need them to all be friends. It probably adds a little more stakes that they, or people tied to the cabin and stuff. I was okay with it. And I think we get all the greatest hits anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think they do a good job of summarizing. And do you remember? Because I remember being so confused, because obviously you and I both saw this before the internet was quite as prevalent. So it was very confusing to then see the different changes, like watching all three of the movies and then seeing like, oh wait, is this a different time? Because there was definitely a time where watching the second one where I'm like, why would Ash go back? Why would he go back? But then it's like, oh wait, that's not actually what they're trying to tell. And then you find out why.
They don't explain it, and it doesn't really make any sense. I mean, I saw these all backwards, so everything is weird for me. I never really got it, but I guess even as a kid, the one thing I did always notice is these were really bad about connecting. So I was just like, okay, whatever, But I do remember thinking like, yeah, maybe he brings her back. And then I think even Campbell jokes about that at conventions, or used to, that people come up and be like, why would you bring it back? It's like, I didn't bring another girl to the cabin.
Yeah.
But because at this time, this would be a weird move. Because, sequels were always, Friday the 13th, we just went over those.
Mm-hmm.
Directors and writers have changed, but nope, we had to start from the last part of the movie before the new one continues. So it would make more sense to think of this like this. This is essentially a reboot.
Yeah. It's hilarious too, because it's like we have Marvel where they have all of these movies that then you kind of have to see all of them to be able to understand what's happening. Yet back in the 80s, it was no one will have seen that. You need to summarize like so that people know what you're talking about. It's the reason why those first 4 Friday the 13th start with like summaries. Yeah. It gets out of control. But I love that. So it has, I love all the different, like everything is ramped up here, and there's such a, like even the professionalism, everything just looks so much better, whether it's the handling of the Kandarian dagger or the Book of the Dead. The Book of the Dead looks better. How they show those flashbacks, it's more appealing. It's just, I don't know.
Sam grew a lot in these few years.
Well, and to be fair, it was a long time in between the first and the second. As much as there's a lot of talk right now, people are pissed off because the Batman 2 has been delayed, making it'll be 6 years in between sequels. And it's like, yeah, it's okay. Some of our greatest sequels came like many years after. There, if anything, we need to be treating sequels as like a 3-year minimum versus a 3-year maximum. People suddenly they're like, oh, it's been 3 years. Why has this not been made yet? It's like, well, because they're trying to break the story and make it as good as possible. It's like because expectations go up with each film. And sometimes you just have to, I don't know.
A lot of sequels took a while, though. It's like, I feel like that's somewhat of a modern thing, right? This expectation. Like, I mean, outside of maybe cheapy, low budget movies, but I mean, sequels to when we grew up, that was always like a longer process. I mean, maybe obviously times have changed and maybe it's more than just appetite. Maybe it's just how money gets distributed. Like, hey, if you want a sequel, I'll give it to you, but it has to be out at in X and X maybe. But I'm always okay with that. If people want to bitch, I think people are bitching about the Batman more of they're afraid it's going to get canceled.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, if that happens, you're fucked anyway. But if not, let them hash it out. I don't give a shit. Batmans are like always really good outside of, obviously some of the schlocky ones. I take your time, man. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, this is a period of time where they were clearly trying to do something different. They weren't trying to then go into and try and be horror directors, because even after this, or after the first film, which released in 81, which filmed in 79 and 80. So their next movie, or wait, would have been his next movie? Yeah, I think it's his next movie, Crime Wave.
Yes. And that was a big, fun. I mean, that's the most Sam Raimi-ish kind of movie, and it fucking bombed because you're going to go into it. But, they wanted to make what horror we know. They wanted to make a real fun, jazzy little, period piece.
Yeah. And according to Mr. Andrew Hatfield, it's more of a Coen Brothers movie than it is a Raimi film. And it bombed both critically and financially. And Bruce was also not having success acting. So they went, if we have another bomb, we're going to be set back even further in our journey. And so they had already been asked about doing a sequel. And so then they full steam ahead of trying to go with the sequel. But clearly they did not want to make a horror movie. So they went, okay, let's take these elements and let's make it slapstick. And I don't think that would have worked with many films, but thankfully there is already a dark humor present in the first Evil Dead that I think the transition works very well. And this is more of the Ash that we would come to know.
And this reached a wider audience. And I think the reason this is successful is the built-in audience was there, but this grew the audience. And I think that's directly because of the tone.
Yes.
Not that a horror movie couldn't have a big audience, but I just believe that this movie with Campbell's style of acting really lends itself because the Three Stooges have been added to every part of this. And that's really what it is. This is, it's a horror movie, of course, and it has serious moments, but, it would never go too long without a little Three Stooges gag. So I'm fine. And, I love that Raimi actively doesn't want to make horror movies, because I think that sort of distance gives him a unique style to make his horror movies.
Yeah.
I always want him to make horror, but I am very okay that I'm never going to get he's not going to give us the Evil Dead remake. That's not him. He'll give us Ash vs. Evil Dead. And you know what? Good. Yep. I love both of those in different ways.
Yep. I agree. And the thing to remember is that the Evil Dead 2 was not actually successful on its initial release because it did not receive an R rating. They had to release it DEG, which is Dino De Laurentiis's company. They decided to, at least I believe this is the case. Hopefully I'm not wrong. They decided to submit, and once it didn't go their way, they decided not to submit because they thought it was going to be sabotaged. They thought it was going to be about 62 minutes after cuts, which would obviously have not really worked. And so they released it in only 340 cinemas across the country. But even with that, they were still able to make their budget back. And obviously, this was a massive home video success, which I was shocked to see released. The first VHS was released by Vestron Video.
Oh, Vestron. Yeah, man.
I didn't realize they'd been around for so long. It's cool to see because obviously we're still getting releases from them. They deal with a lot of Lionsgate stuff nowadays.
Yeah, they were on. I mean, I just remember they did a few things in the VHS days that I remember as a kid. And it's it's funny because this is the story's oldest time now, whereas a movie doesn't do very well. I mean, obviously, I don't really blame them because they didn't really have a lot of theaters, but the VHS is the reason why Evil Dead 2 is successful. 100%. The video store.
Yeah, 100%. And the video store helped so many horror movies out, which I guess streaming could be considered the same nowadays. It does put more eyes on to different projects, but I think also with streaming, streaming just allows stuff to fall off faster too. We're in such a quick recycle society.
I think streaming
content
should do this. I don't think it does, only because I think they produce too much. I mean, that's my opinion. It's like you could do a good horror movie, but if you're going to have 80 releases that month, it's just, I feel almost like the limited space of VHS really helped. There wasn't, it was the old fashioned thing where it's like, there wasn't enough people making movies. That's hence why Charles Band has a career, is because, he made Paramount's like, hey, we have space. We don't have fucking movies. Let's make stuff. Now It's the opposite. It's like everyone can make a movie. And now, everything, you can tell me about a movie and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Oh, it's great. Like, I'd never heard of it. I feel bad. People really pour their heart and soul into a movie and then it just gets buried, man. So I don't know. I feel like the era of this kind of movie is long past.
Yeah, I mean, hell, I'm not sure if you saw, but Strange Darling, they just sued their marketing partner. They thought that they
fucked him on promotion, right?
Yep. So it's like, yeah, it's hard to get out. I mean, fucking most of their promotion was Kyle Gallner doing it. Where it's like, shit, I hope he got paid well and paid extra for that. Also, because needs to be worked into his contract that he does so much promotion for his things.
I bet he's doing it for free, man. But do you think it's because these little independent companies basically just take the money and run, like, okay, fuck it, I'll dump it. It doesn't matter. Like, I know they cooked the books anyway, so every movie is a failure for some reason. It's probably just that old fashioned, Chicago politics.
Yep.
Everybody's getting robbed.
Yeah, sadly. Okay. Let's get into, we talked a little bit about the recreation of the film, but I want to talk about, I think one of the funniest shots in the movie is Bruce. It's like, technically would be considered right after the fade to black, or cut to black in the first film, where then Bruce is flying through the air backwards. All done practically. Like nowadays, that would be just him on green screen. And they sped it up. It looks incredible. There's such a humor to it because it really nails the slapstick side of everything. Because I don't know if I like slapstick before I got into Evil Dead 2.
You weren't a fan of the Three Stooges as a kid?
I saw them, but I don't think I would have probably, I don't know, it would have been like a negative connotation if I were to mention slapstick in relation to the Three Stooges at that time. So I think this finally taught me the great side of it. Cause it's like, I think physical humor and physical comedy is severely underrated. And it's one of my favorite things to notice with an actor of like, oh, they're really good at physical comedy, because it's really difficult. And it's something that I think because the audience for physical comedy can be a little juvenile. So I think that then people can conflate that to the performer as well, but it actually is very difficult to pull off.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's think of Michael Richardson Seinfeld. It's like his entire thing is physical.
No.
and doing multiple takes. No, and then Bruce Campbell's a physical actor. No, it's funny you mentioned this scene. So, I had forgotten this was physical. In fact, in my mind, I thought it was a blue screen with Sam Raimi, which I do remember, just whacking the shit out of Bruce Campbell with these branches. And in the commentary, it's like, no, they found like a mile road in Tennessee and drove down while Sam was in some sort of side carriage hitting Bruce Campbell with the branches. So it's like I had half it right, but no, it's and this is the first scene of Evil Dead 2, if you think about it. This is the first 6 minutes is the setup of the first. What do we see? It's this zany, spinny, wacky, essentially demon push. And it's like, okay, that sets up everything you need to know. It's like, okay, it's not the same movie. And obviously you probably would have cut that from the dancing part of the girlfriend, but
yeah. Can we talk about how like the Evil Dead franchise is essentially an excuse for Sam Raimi to beat up Bruce Campbell?
Guaranteed that's what this is.
It is such an abusive relationship to such hilarity. There's a moment in the commentary where Sam makes fun of Bruce for raising something up, like, and it's just like unnaturally high. And then Bruce is like, because there's Sam off camera going higher. No, we need to get that higher in frame.
The pages, because he had to look at him. He's like, he looks at him like an old man. Has to put him up to his face. Yeah,
because he's like, oh yeah, because Sam's like, yeah, Ash is apparently nearsighted based on how close he gets those to his face, and that's when Bruce is like, yeah, because Sam is off screen yelling, get him up, get him closer, get closer to your face.
That entire commentary is them kind of is Sam basically making fun of like Bruce Campbell's acting. And he goes, oh, I guess we didn't do another take of that line, huh, Bruce?
It's so funny. And like too, there is a real fun moment because they are giving each other shit throughout so much of the commentary, but there's that great moment, which I'm sorry, I'm jumping around a little bit, but it's the get ready moment where he like breaks the boomstick with the chainsaw, and like all this one take goes up to him and he's like, groovy, and the delivery of it is just perfect, and everyone on commentary acknowledges of like Bruce fucking nailed that. And it's cool because it's like, yeah, see, they're giving each other shit, but it's like no, they still acknowledge the great moments. Like they know what they did. Like they made this incredible film. It would be boring if the entire commentary was just them going, God, aren't we awesome? Can you believe we pulled this off?
Yeah, a lot of it is them doubting and kind of, oh, this wasn't that good, or the hand was up a second, you were late. No, that's funny. I remember that exact scene because I never caught this, but I guess the take is in camera, and then Sam had Bruce do another take at home, and they layered it so it has more of an oomph. And I'm like, oh shit, I've never caught that, and I consider myself a man with good ears.
Yeah, I feel like I had that moment in college where suddenly I had a teacher tell me of like, whenever you want that booming voice, you want something that's like just hits a little harder, you duplicate the voice 4 times. 2 of those times, like 2 of the instances, you just move it over 1 frame, and it just like it just like adds this like booming quality that then, ooh. Yeah, then like it's a weird thing. It's like when you look at a lot of their audio files, you'll see where it's like, oh, here's the drum track, and it's like, oh, you have these things shown 4 times, because they're just like duplicating the layer. Especially, it's very big with vocals. Like vocals, they always are layering vocals. I never realized until seeing the timeline, and then seeing the timeline where I'm like, oh, yeah, my timelines are always very simple. So I should probably start duplicating things more.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. I mean, because it's these simple tricks that have to be invisible, but they add so much.
Yeah. So it's very, very impressive. Though I want to bring up the fact that apparently Vestron Video has not released anything in over a year. So hopefully they're not going through tough times.
And in this market, I don't know, man. I'm so paranoid about everything. I just accept everything as death.
Yeah, I know. But they didn't release anything in 2019. So there is precedent for it, where they've taken a year off. So fingers crossed. Just because I realized from looking at their thing that I own multiple Vestron video releases.
I know I owned a couple. Did they do the Warlock series?
Them? I don't see Yes, they did the Warlock one. Okay. It was their 11th release. The stuff that I have from them is Wishmaster, The Dentist, and Silent Night, Deadly Night 3 through 5.
They did The Dentist. It was like 1 and 2 pack. Yeah, good for them. They pick a certain level of schlock that I find myself into.
Yeah. Well, they also did Little Monsters in 2020, but I don't think it's the 4K that you eventually got.
Ooh, I do I have the 4K?
Didn't you get the 4K?
I don't know. The first release that ever came out, I bought because that movie was never released on DVD, I believe.
So it did not. I'm not even. Then I'm thinking of the wrong thing. I'm thinking of the Vestron. I guess they didn't release it in 4K. I thought that they had done a 4K release.
No, that I have. Yeah, good for them. Yeah, they gave me my childhood movie back. So thank you, Vestron.
Yeah, Vestron. I mean, shout out to them. They do good work. We don't. We're in a weird spot with physical media, especially for horror. So I think we're gonna all be paying out the ass for releases these days.
We get Blu-rays down cheap, and all of a sudden now every release in a 4K is like $35.
Yeah.
But I want to bring up, a scene from the first movie that they redo in the second is the road and the bridge being messed up. And this has always been one of my favorite shots. It's matte painting. It's kind of weird looking because obviously it's a matte painting and we got a live actor and it's just interesting. But I love the look of the bridge curled up. And he has that sort of epic, I don't know, a word I'm looking for, but exaggerated movement of loss. And it's this wide angled matte shot. It's just beautiful. I know it's one of those things that when I saw as a kid, I loved, and it's still to this day one of the best things in the movie.
Yeah, I agree that matte shot's incredible. And then like the shot from the bridge, it's like a oneer that's the point of view of the demon. It just looks incredible. I've noticed too, there is a weird like blue hue to things, and I think that is like them trying to represent night for.
100%. The Blue Night, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And you can there's moments too, like even when it's driving, you can actually see the light that they're using as a source. So it's fun. Like we haven't even brought up the fact that there's that great moment in the cabin where the spirit follows Ash around and it's all first person, and the whole time you can see the top of the set. Like
yes.
All like, and I love that. We're getting so far away. Not to bring up Gladiator 2, but that's one thing that like the cinematographer for Gladiator 2 kind of criticized Ridley for being lazy, because there was stuff of like leaving coffee cups in shots and leaving this and that. But rather than like the Evil Dead 2 approach where it's like, yeah, that's just in the shot. He's then making digital artists go in and like paint over them and like remove them. And it's like, it adds a sterility to everything, where then conversely, this movie, because of the fact that it is independent, they're trying new things. They're trying to be creative. They're stretching $1 everywhere that they can go. So then it adds so much personality. And I would hate, there's that famous moment from the original Nightmare on Elm Street where Nancy falls down the stairs and you can see on the staircase, the stunt person, there was the bed. There's like a bed that they use that she fell on. Ever since the second DVD release, that has been removed. Like they removed the shot, like the mattress, so you can't see the mattress. Now, I'm okay with things like that. However, if we were to go into Evil Dead 2 and remove like the top where it's like, oh no, then they're just adding like a roof. Nope. I would fuck that version of the movie. I would never watch it.
Yeah. See, we were around at a time where, you'd hear the commentary and they point out, and then the chat rooms on the internet that we grew up on, which, well, I shouldn't say grew up on, but we were like, 10 or whatever ages were.
Yeah.
It was new. It was almost like charming. It was a charming thing. We would laugh about it. And it would just make the movie more endearing. The problem I think is we're in a post, and I hate to say this, CinemaSins society where it's not fun and charming. It's fuck this lazy movie. This is stupid. Like we've gone completely 180, and now instead of looking at it in like this way that we could kind of laugh at it, but in a way of genuine, we're genuinely loving something, just like poking fun. You can't do that anymore. Now if a movie's not perfect or close to it, I feel like we drag it over the coals in this sort of like I'm smarter, I'm better way, and I just have never vibed with that. I don't like that. I think that is why we have shittier movies now, because we don't let people experiment and have fun. If I see a boom in a movie, I'm like, that's awesome. They forgot. God, I hope they leave that in and release, and then we're gonna erase it. I don't know. Yeah. It's like you said, it's sterilizing things, man. I understand not liking to have flaws in the movie, especially if it'd be your own. But Spielberg was wise enough after he fucked up E.T. to then say after that, I will leave every string in Jaws and every future release. I won't touch anything. I'm just going to leave it alone. It is what it is. It's the movie I made at the time, and that's the perfect way to think about this and the way to, I think, access it. Not oh, it's bad. They didn't know what they're doing. I could make a better movie.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's I think criticism against yourself is totally understandable. It's the same reason that you and I don't like watching older videos that we did, because we've obviously we've learned things since. We don't want because I can only imagine how that is for a big time director, anything like that, where then they're having to deal with like the reminder of like, oh yeah, that thing that everyone hated, that I hated as well, that the producer made me keep in or film in the first place, where then there's a lot of stuff that then I think also growing up is discovering that it's like, yeah, not everything is going to be perfect, and some like you embrace the flaws. The flaws are what make a film or even a person what they are.
Dude, 100% well said. Well said.
And what are your thoughts of the because I will say I don't like the cast in this one as much as in the first film. Like, what do you think of, like Annie and Bobby Joe and Jake? I don't care for any of them. Ed, like none of them are my, if anything, when I watch this and when they get involved with Ash, I'm like, let's get them out of here so that we can just get Ash doing his thing again.
I prefer more only because I think they're all better actors. I mean, and that's going to be a little bit in quotes. I'll be very clear. The first one though just felt like a bunch of students trying to act. So I besides what's her face that I told you I had a crush on, I don't really relate to anybody. And even in this, not that I like anybody, but what's his face? Jake. I kind of always like a stereotypical hillbilly just because I'm a Yankee, so I'm always kind of laughing down. And Bobby Joe was kind of pretty, I guess. I didn't like the blonde dude. I can't think of his name. I'll give you that. That guy just seemed like a douchebag.
Yeah. Not Ed Begley Jr. Fucking, if we had Ed Begley Jr. in that role, he would have been fantastic.
That's fair. I mean, out of the cast here is one of those things that like I think Bruce Campbell I love so much that they're just there to like get killed, meet demons and stuff. So I don't really care. I don't really have a strong vibe. I don't have a crush on anybody like I did in the first. But this is my spoilers. I prefer this strongly over the first one. I love the first one, but this is more what I'm into from the series anyway. So I'm just more inclined to like these people.
Yeah,
I guess.
I get that.
A lazy way to say it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I think my favorite stretch of the film is from the moment that the people land in the plane. Right after that, it's just Bruce in the cabin being haunted by this fucking whether it's his ex-girlfriend, the demon itself, his hand. It's just
the hand part, dude. The hand part's the best.
I mean, it's just incredible, but also like his ex-girlfriend, well, his girlfriend, just insulting him while her head is in a vice. Like, it's great.
And it's a great shot. The blood hits the light bulb, and then he obviously just like has a red filter. It's so cool. Stuff like that. No, this is the best. This is like the best part up until I'd say the last part. Not that I don't want to break this in the chapters and say, well, this is worse than this, because it's an amazing movie through and throughout. But I agree. The plane landing and then him just going crazy is my go-to part. I think I even did a video on the scene where he like loses his mind and it's all fucking wacky. And the most beautiful shot is when it like zooms into the lamp kind of dancing. Mm-hmm. There's something about that scene that it's so unique. Nothing like it since. It can't really be replicated. And yeah, I mean, once they come in and put him in the cellar, I agree. It's probably a little slower that I'm like, come on, guys, I don't want to fucking hang out with a bunch of hillbillies.
Well, and I think too, it's just like there's that typical story beat of, okay, we see these people are coming off the plane and it's like they're the saviors for Ash. Or they're just like, or it's a case of what the fuck are they going to be going into? So then to get these scenes of this pure chaos with Ash, like where the deer starts talking to him. There's so many things that are happening where it's like, oh fuck, Ash, you need to get this under control, or things are going to be even worse for you when they arrive. Which then it gets to be worse for them because they throw him in the cellar.
Which I want. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say before the cellar though, we like the hand. We just got to talk about the hand and how much, because this doesn't feel like a ripoff of Addams Family or anything. It still feels very, very much its own thing, and I think that's hard to, especially nowadays with the prominence of Wednesday, Netflix's Wednesday. Think that anyone that hadn't seen this would be like, oh, is this supposed to be like Addams Family? Or it's like, no, this is its own thing.
Oh, I feel like this is so iconic. It's so cool. It's so quirky. I think in the commentary they said that the idea was taken because they wanted, like, what if they had an evil hamburger helper? Like, the hand glove. That's where they said this came from. So, I mean, I wouldn't even think Addams Family, but ironically, my Addams Family comes from the 90s, and I know it was like a 60s show. So it's, I feel like, what came first? Maybe there was some sort of influence. Who knows? But who gives a shit? It's its own thing. No. And it's specifically like trying to hurt them. And I think that adds enough to me where I'm like, it's Sam Raimi's baby.
Yeah.
But, shot wise, this is some of the best in the movie. The hand pulling the body as it's going for the knife, I fucking love. I love how it looks. It's so practical. I know how it's done, but it feels real. There's a POV shot. Then he stabs the hand, which I guess was gelatin, according to Greg Nicotero. And I was like, oh, that's a really cool looking hand. Mm-hmm. But I love the fact they stabs his own fucking hand, and then we get the Ash scene where he gives it that like, I got you.
Yeah. Oh, and like I think that's what makes those moments even better. It's because Ash suddenly he has this misplaced confidence that happens out of nowhere, which then immediately puts him in his place.
Because he thinks he has it. I mean, dude, when he cuts it off, which real quick, I think you and me are equal on this. Blood splatter to the face is one of my favorite things in any movie. It's what I look forward to. And this has a great blood splatter moment where he does a chainsaw. But speaking of sort of like unearned confidence, he puts the fucking hand in a garbage can with a couple books on top, Farewell to Arms, of course. And then immediately he's like, okay, done and done. And it's like, no. He like turns his back. He was patting himself on the back. It's like, dude.
Like, not done.
Oh, and then the fucking, the little, the basket goes like, and it just fucking moves out of frame all cute.
Well, I mean, in a similar thought with him and his confidence, there's that moment where he shoots the wall and it bleeds, and he's like, "It's like, I got this taken care of." And then the fucking wall is a geyser of blood right at his face. So much blood. It's like just gallons upon gallons of blood just being spewed at him. And it's hilarious because it's able to get that slapstick quality. But then it's like the fact that it's like then you're adding so much more to the lore as well, because it's like, wait a minute. This thing is able to produce blood like this, but then also we're able to get the comedy, we're able to get the lore, and then we're also able to get the technical prowess of the blood changes black and then reverses out of the scene. Like, Jesus Christ, Sam Raimi's just the fucking man.
And they did it practically, and how do you do something like this practically without drowning your actor?
No, you drown him.
Yeah. It's just they said, hey, wave your arms if you're in trouble.
Yeah. They do what we do. They hold up an X in terms of things have gone wrong.
I mean, that much fucking blood water up your nose, your ears, man. You got to give them credit. But no, you're right. That when it sucks out,
dude,
it's just to fuck with them though. That's what I like. It's this evil is messing with them because it sucks it out, and it's just like, okay, hey, we're just having a little fun with you.
And it's thick. Like, it doesn't look like, oh yeah, they just, use some water to make cleanup easier, use this to make it this easier. No. This looks like Caro syrup, food, like red dye number 40 and some water. Like that, it looks incredible. It looks sticky and messy. And one of the best parts about this, and I'd say this one in particular, because it happens in the first one, but it doesn't get quite to this degree. But just the level of filth that gets put on Bruce throughout the runtime is amazing. And then like they make excuses for cleaning him up too, like whether it's just him wiping or
the wipe.
The reversal of the blood, which then, okay, it reverses out. So it's like, okay, then it makes sense as to why there's not as much on him. So they're smart about the filmmaking here.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about the flaws earlier, and it's like, yeah, I mean, there's doing so much weird, wacky stuff that a lot of it's going to get missed. But yeah, even at the end, he stabs the not to jump around, but it relates to this exact moment where he stabs the little demon head in the eye and it gets all blue on him. And then like a minute later, like there's a couple splotches because like, they want to acknowledge it, but it's like, okay, but we don't know what we're really doing. Like how do we dress them up? Because even when it reverses, like there's some black, but it's like, yeah, we can't, you couldn't do it anyway. You have to just guess. Yeah. Because how does somebody look when they basically were swimming in two different colors? Yeah.
And, I think that's a good point, because it's why there is schlocky elements and there are things that, we see the top of the set, but it's all the other stuff that works so well that then makes it so that stuff isn't viewed as a negative. Like it all just works. Yeah, there's personality to it.
That's the most important thing. It's just think of like vocals. Like I love a really good vocal artist, but I also like a lot of artists that like can sing decently or maybe okay, but it really comes down to like the personality of the voice.
Soul.
The personality. Yeah, exactly. And personality of a movie matters way more than a flawless movie that has a personality. Fucking below me. I'll take this any day of the week. Yeah. I'll take continuity errors up the ass if you could give me a great time.
Jack White is my favorite musician, and the man, like, I would say there's an imperfection to his singing and his guitar work, and that's what makes it so great, because there's a grounded soulfulness, because it's like when you hear like there's a little bit of a, like, he hit the wrong note on this solo. Yeah, he didn't record it. That's fucking re-record it. That's awesome. Like, I like that, because this is the kind of thing that would happen in a live recording.
Yes, and we live in a society where...
Not to tangent, sorry.
no, but it's related to the movie, which is we live in a society now where, like you said, a movie releases, and then all of a sudden I hear that they replaced that on Netflix and touched up this and changed that and removed this poster, and it's like, come on, man. Like how boring is life that's where we're at now, that we can't get messy movies like this.
I do agree with you, but then I'm also very excited for like the 7 remaster that's about to come out, where like Fincher has like darkened windows and stuff. So it's like,
really? Yeah. See, I don't want things changed. Leave the movie, man. I don't know. I wish breaks my heart when I hear changes.
No.
Why is he darkening windows?
Because that was his original intention. He wasn't able to pull it off at the time. So he wants to.
That's a slippery slope. That's a fucking Lucas.
I agree. It is a slippery slope, but I'm not going to judge it until I actually see it in motion because I don't know. Darker windows isn't quite as egregious to me as like Brad Pitt is holding a donut now instead of his gun.
Instead of a gun.
Like the dildo knife has been replaced by a regular knife. Like things like that.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I guess there's a degree to all this.
Yeah.
So I want to talk, can we talk about the cellar part? Because this is something I for some reason never caught because I'm an idiot. That they throw Bruce Campbell down the stairs. He breaks through all of them. And then through the rest of the movie, the stairs are completely intact until Henrietta throws him again through all the stairs and breaks them. I'm like, holy shit. Like, yeah, he breaks the stairs and immediately the stairs are fixed because he leans up against them when, they're talking about like, they're playing the thing. It's like, I buried my wife. I've got to bury her in the cellar. And it has a fucking great reaction shot. I'm like, how did I never notice the stairs were rebuilt immediately for the whole movie?
Even funnier is when you realize that there's this shot in the cellar where it's Bruce backing up and it's like you're thinking it's like something's going to be behind him the whole time. You're like, don't back up. And then what ends up being behind him are the rebuilt stairs. So if you know that and if you are paying attention, it is kind of a moment where you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck? Why are those stairs rebuilt?
I can't believe I never caught it. I don't know. It's just I've never been great at continuity because if I'm really into a movie, like I'm your perfect movie watcher. Like you could trick me with anything if I'm really invested. But for some reason, I was like, oh, wow. Yeah, like those stairs were just rebuilt for the whole movie. And then he gets thrown through them again. I'm like, you know what? Again, that's why this movie rocks. Because they weren't concerned with that. They're like, who gives a shit? It's a fun bit.
Yeah. That's why bad movies, that kind of stuff stands out. Because when you're watching them, you're not engrossed in the story. So then you're just thinking of anything but. And you're like, oh, hey. That hair, his hair parted differently in between shots.
Dude, you nailed it, and that's something I am worried about on our Evil Dead Rise rewatch. I'm like, fuck. Yeah. I hope I don't want to be that guy. But you're right. If I'm not vibing and I'm not having a good time, then I start noticing all the flaws, and that bothers me.
It's funny you bring that up too, because Sam Raimi notoriously does not really care about continuity. I think it might be Tarantino that is the same, and because they take the approach of, if people are noticing that during this scene, then we have other problems. Because it's true. Or it's like if you're not engrossed in the scene and you're noticing like little different like that's a problem.
There's something I saw. It has something to do with this, but an editor was saying for Scorsese, like how Scorsese doesn't care about that either because it's all about the take. And if this amazing take is the best, but it has a continuity error, they'd still use it. And there's an example of in, I believe it's Goodfellas. And I never knew this, where, what's his name? Sorvino's smoking a cigar and then immediately cuts back and the cigar's fucking gone for the rest of the scene. And he's like, that was the best take of Sorvino. I'm like, I like that. Maybe a 15-year-old me would have been more, I'd stick at my ass and stuff like that. I don't know. I can't bring it back, but I find myself more happy that people are less neurotic. Maybe because, like we said earlier, we live in a world now where I think people get off on trying to seem superior.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's a good point. There's a thing, like I'm at the point where I don't care. You know what I mean? Like continuity, like I want to be engrossed in a film. The continuity stuff doesn't bug me as much. As long as it's not like egregious. If you have a red car that suddenly turns blue, then it's like, especially in our like this day and age, because it's like you and I with our editing can replace the color of that car. So it's like, that's just like
that's fair.
Well, I want to bring up something that connects with a past film that we have covered on this podcast, and it's one that you are a massive fan of. So there is a moment in this film where Linda bites Ash's hand and Bruce Campbell says the single line of work shed. and this had to be redubbed because of bad audio quality, and that it stands out from the other audio to the point where when Bruce Campbell filmed his cameo in Escape from LA, the first thing that Kurt Russell said to Bruce Campbell was, "Say work shed."
And I like that Kurt Russell was such an Evil Dead 2 fan that was like a must for him.
That's my big takeaway from it, of like, wait a minute, Kurt Russell knew that like Evil Dead 2 that much that he like had to make that joke to him. That's incredible.
And it's a great line, and yeah, it stands out. Like his mouth isn't even moving. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But this and that's something we didn't really bring up yet, is this movie has all of the iconic lines. I mean, so much that was stolen for, which I had the release back in like 95, 96 or 93. I don't know what year it was. I have the game over there, Duke Nukem.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. This movie was so cool and so iconic with lines that a whole video game made a fucking stolen character out of it.
Yeah, I mean, "I'll swallow your soul, swallow this." Like, groovy is from this. Hilariously, you want to know what the third listed quote is for Evil Dead 2 on IMDb? Work shed.
Nice. Work shed.
Which is pretty fucking funny to me. But I'm looking through. I mean, there's classic stuff, but we're going to notice when we go into the next episode that Army of Darkness is where really so many of our Ash quotes come from.
Yeah, that's always been my favorite. But this is the fan favorite. This is the one that, I feel like is the clear winner. Would you agree? I think in the fan base.
Yeah, I would definitely say this one seems to be the favorite. Oh, and also too, I guess I didn't because there's a weird subtitle for this film. It's Evil Dead 2: Dead by Dawn. But that's not listed even on IMDb, because usually it'll say like also known as, but it's not. I just now, like, looking at the poster, I was like, oh yeah, that's the Dead by Dawn, because then obviously there's the quote too, Dead by Dawn, Dead by Dawn.
Yeah, I was on the VHS cover when I was the kid.
Yeah.
The cool skull. I always liked that cover.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's a nice little connection to Nightmare on Elm Street in this film, because it's kind of I love when directors make reference to another director, and then there's that like kind of payback in their other films. So in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, Nancy has Evil Dead on the TV. So as a bit of an homage to Wes Craven, they then included Freddy's glove in a scene in Evil Dead 2, because fortunately this was New Line. New Line had something to do. They were able to get rights, something. New Line asked.
But they have the glove. It's right there and nobody gave a shit. So
yeah, there's something
in every release.
Yeah, there's something weird with it, because that's why then the Kandarian Dagger and Book of the Dead are in Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah. Yeah. But then back in the day, though, I thought things were a little more loose on how to do stuff. So maybe like all they could have done is just like got like an okay from some dude that,
Yeah.
But again, the fact that it's been never released since, because that's the kind of thing that, yeah, you could get away to the VHS, but by DVD and stuff and Blu-ray, if the rights aren't held, then yeah, that shit gets erased. And the fact that it's not says that has something like the rights, whatever was back in the day, is consistent now.
Yeah. Well, I just very quickly want to get something for our lovely listeners, and it sounds like the makeup artist Mark Shostrom was also working on Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors at the same time of filming, and so he just borrowed the glove for Dream Warriors for a set for a day, and they just used it on Dead by Dawn. No permission necessary.
Okay. I like that guy. I follow him on Twitter, I think.
No shit. You know who that is? That's so cool.
Yeah, he has long hair and glasses, has a real like deep booming voice. He's been involved in like a lot of movies you and me love as an effects artist.
Yes, he has.
Yeah. He's I never met him, but he just seems like a cool dude. He always seems to just kind of be talking on social media and always bring up like interesting movie things like, oh, this movie, I actually did this and this. It's like, oh, God, seems like a
This
dude I can vibe
guy,
with.
yeah, he's like a nerdy guy. Yes, anyone should make sure to look him up because chances are you will recognize him because I immediately recognized him.
Yeah, he went through some tough times, like maybe like a few years back. They're looking for donations. I remember I sent like $20, nothing I could really do. But I don't know, man. Any effects artist that has been involved in all my movies, I'm a fan of. I've always, as a kid, I had a dream of being a special effects artist. I didn't have the talents or really the fucking wherewithal to do it, but so that's always my
a lot of
go-to,
patience. A lot of patience required for that craft.
I think it's back in the day, at least, it was a handcrafted skill, which I just never had.
Yeah.
If I was smart, I would have gotten the fucking computer stuff. But when I was a kid, I wanted to do like monsters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but whatever. I always love those dudes.
Yeah, fantastic. And like we mentioned that Greg Nicotero was on commentary for this, so you can assume yes, this was K&B Effects. It was on that made the effects for this, which is why all of the effects are just incredible. Everything is just from top to bottom, just incredible. Like I love how they pull off everything here because there's such a like realness to it.
There's an effect I want to talk about because I think the scene's cool. Is the sort of reimagining of the tree rape minus the rape.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fun little scene, but there's a shot or two where the branches are going like into her face, and it has that sort of body horror aspect, which I feel doesn't get mentioned as much, just because the rape in part one is so brutal, where this obviously is not, but they make up for it in I think more of a cool effects led way.
It's amazing. It shows how much the surroundings of a scene really affect it, because obviously in the first Evil Dead, the tree rape is it's the crowning piece of the film. It's the biggest moment. Yet, you mentioning this, I totally forgot about it until like scrubbing through and like, oh yeah, I guess there is that brief little thing. 'Cause it just doesn't even register with me because there's so much insanity happening in this at every twist and turn of this, but it's brutal, especially you're right, the stuff going into her face, but then she's also dragged through the forest in a pretty brutal way.
Basically blows up in a tree. I mean, and let's not forget, we don't really like Bobby Jo. She's kind of an ass. So it's a different feeling because we liked what's her face from the first one? Oh my gosh, I can't think of her name.
Cheryl,
my girlfriend. She's not. I'm just joking. But in this, it's like Bobby Jo's an idiot and she gets what she deserves.
Yeah. And I wonder too if that was kind of a reaction to the like the rape. If it was like let's not go that far, or if it was let's not repeat the same thing. We already did that once.
I don't know. I feel like, if I'm correct, I remember seeing some documentary where like that Raimi regretted that scene in the first movie. I think he got in trouble in England for it or some bullshit. But I would guess, based on just those nuggets of information, that is more of a like, I don't want to. Let's not go there. Let's not even deal with that.
I get it. I have some feminist leaning friends or people in my life that don't like the first Evil Dead because of the tree rape thing. So I understand. I mean, I don't get it. It's not my.
No, because it's a movie and it didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, then you can't deal with tough conversations then if you can't deal with a movie that deals with a tough subject matter. It's like, guess what? This kind of thing, not actual rape, is happening all the time. So again,
yeah, it means that those people can't access art in the same way. And so I don't have much to say to them. It's like, well, I'm sure there's some sort of, adorable TV show you could be watching. I mean, it's the same, I don't know. If you can't handle art, being upset about it is fine, but like, I can't watch that movie. It's like, well, I don't know. That's a step away from censorship.
Yeah, I agree. Everyone's always seems to. We have so much content out there, yet so many people don't understand. Where it's like, well, not everything is meant for you. It's like, it's fine. Just don't watch that. Don't watch this or don't watch that. It's the same people that bitch about I don't know, sports. I'm like, then just don't watch sports. Like, it's fun. Like, you don't have to watch sports. Like, there's other things.
I don't watch it. I don't know nothing about it. You tell me about the sports, buddy. How's the team?
The team is great. Team's killing it this year. Go, yay sports.
Yay sports.
Go team. Go team. One thing that I've always liked is when Mr. Redneck, what's it, Junior? Is that the redneck's name?
Jake, I believe.
Jake, when he gets dragged into the cellar by Mr. Ted Raimi. It's a cool moment. Like, it looks fucking scary how he gets pulled down. I've always thought, like, we talked when Mr. Keir Gomes was on, we talked about Gremlins and how I mistook that one, the professor going under the table as his brain being eaten out. I think that combined with the little monsters, like the under the bed quality, I have such a fear of this kind of circumstance happening, getting dragged under and something happening, and yet being dragged under face first is even more terrifying, which then we see his body like 10 minutes later and it's like just a skeleton.
It's just bones. Yeah. Like, I like that because all the blood, like they're saying essentially like, just sucked him dry.
Yeah,
and
which now we know where all that blood comes from because he's taken the demon's taken all of it.
Yeah, if you're making an Evil Dead film going forward, you really need to have at least a scene or two where there's an obnoxious amount of blood. I think that should be like a requirement. And the remake, when like it's raining blood, and then what's her name, Levy? That's her last name, right?
Yeah, Jane Levy.
Jane Levy is sticking the chainsaw into the face, and it's just fucking a geyser. I'm like, it's not as much, but it is that over the top blood, and I really, really, really need more of that. I feel that was not the case in Rise.
Yeah, yeah, we'll definitely.
Sorry, I got to throw a couple jabs, but no, great little death of Jake for sure.
Yeah, it's just really well done, and again, I like Annie's look, but I don't like the actress. Sarah Bayer, she's fine. I just maybe it's just because she just doesn't hit, and I don't know. She's like not really a thing in the horror world. It's not like we see her in a bunch of other movies. Like she's literally in Chud 2. So maybe there's part of me that just is like, oh, this woman's not embracing the genre. But I don't know. Her acting isn't nearly as egregious as the ladies in the first 3 films, yet I think I am forgiving of those ladies because they've kind of embraced the Evil Dead franchise.
No, I would actually say I don't like her character. She just seems very bitchy. I mean, I get it. Her dad's dead, and she has her reasons. I'm not going to blame her, but I also think her look. That's the thing. I don't like her look because it reminds me of like a gym teacher when I was a kid.
No.
Has that just sort of authority look? So I don't know. I mean, I put up with her just because she's just a body. But no, I've never been a fan. It's nothing personal. It's just the characters, and she's standing in Ash's way, where at least the hillbilly and Bobby Joe are just like dumb, and like I could get that. This is like that prissy sort of like Karen quality where I'm like, I'm not going to like you anyway.
Yeah, she has a Karen quality to her. She seems to think that she's in control of the situation, despite the fact that it's like, I think Ash knows a little more about this than you.
Yeah, he's putting the work. He was waterboarded.
Yeah, I mean, based on his appearance alone, you should notice that he's put in the work. The man is just like covered in soot and blood.
And
he's lost a hand, for God's sakes.
And he even goes gray at the end.
Yeah, he has that nice little streak. He gets his little Nancy. I wonder if that can be considered another reference to Nightmare on Elm Street. I think it's just a reference to the phenomenon of the gray streak, because Nancy gets the gray streak in her hair. In the first. First film.
Dude, don't remember that at all.
Yeah, really? The stress of Freddy haunting her. She gets a little a little like white streak.
I'm embarrassed to say that I'm blanking on that. That's wild.
Yeah, it's a fun little moment because then they Dream Warriors, she has that streak, so it's like the rogue streak, like from X-Men.
I've been holding off and watching those for a while, maybe like at least 5 years. So I am excited to revisit those because that means that I'm forgetting stuff, and that's my favorite moment to revisit a movie.
Well, I don't know if it'll be our next franchise chat. I'm leaning towards it. So I think I'm thinking after we do our next extravaganza, we might be diving into the Elm Street series. We haven't announced it yet.
I love that we have extravaganzas.
I like that we've essentially come up with that word for like, okay, we're just gonna cover this actor or this director.
Yeah.
Like it's an extravaganza.
That's what I like. I don't know. It's a I could have a party, but I'm really more of a box social guy. It's that kind of thing where it's like there's certain words I'm just feeling more, and extravaganza just seems like a good time.
Yeah, we've kind of just fallen into extravaganza and franchise chat. So it's works out. It's exactly what franchise chat works out. Extravaganza, I guess that's what they are too.
Extravaganzas, it just sounds like a good time, man. Nobody's gonna go to extravaganza and be bored.
Exactly.
They're not gonna be sad in extravaganza.
We always have guests on. There's always fun time to be had. I want to talk about this massive head that appears at the very end. This seems like something that you would fucking love.
I do.
So much.
You nailed it. I do love it. And I know what I love about it is because it shows, at least that's how I always interpreted it. It's the POV thing. Whatever that is in the Force. Remember, she's like, she goes, now the dead is now flesh or whatever. You could see it, and it's the POV shot, and then it immediately cuts. It hits the door and cuts, and it's the giant head. And to me, I was like, oh, that's cool. That's what the POV thing looks like in its form, and it reminds me of that pink floating blob from Doom. So I'm loving this thing.
Yeah, I think they even mentioned in the commentary. This reminded me of one of the endings of one of the Nightmare on Elm Streets. With all the heads, all the faces in Freddy's. Yeah, so it's
number 4, right?
Yeah, it's cool to see those kinds of parallels. And then obviously, I love the purple blood when Ash puts the chainsaw in the eye.
Yeah, dude.
It's so good. Like there's just such a juiciness to everything, but also everything's so colorful. Like every element of this is, even the drabness. There's still a colorful quality to things, whether it's the yellow shirt that was it Annie that Annie has, or just the blood that's able to contrast. Because you would think that a plain cabin would be very boring, yet just a lot of dynamic color choices going on throughout the film. It's a very colorful film.
Yeah, and that's something we're missing nowadays, and I'm sure it has something to do with obviously digital cameras, but I also think people don't like color. I think a lot of things are desaturated in a way that I find, I'm cool with some desaturated looks. I'm not the kind of guy that hates it, but watching something like this where it's like, yeah, you could still be cool and interesting and be colorful. In fact, I prefer it.
But like you say, desaturated, and like the whole ending is desaturated, and it works.
Yeah, because it works for the desert.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that in the house, so like you said, it's the house is gray, but everything else is colorful.
Yeah, which is precisely how it needs to be. Even the difference between going from 1 to 2 with like the outdoor shots, the Book of the Dead, everything just is so much more lively. And however, with that, it doesn't feel, because there can be a sterile quality that sequels can have. There's like too much money. Things are too like Hollywood, but I don't think that's here. It still has that indie aesthetic. It's just, they're just more masters of their craft than they were.
Yeah. If that was going to happen, it would have happened in Army of Darkness, and it didn't. So it's like, we just got lucky, but no, this definitely has that like auteur look still, because it's a fucking bunch of kids essentially. I mean, it's a small scene, But when Ash goes through the portal, and they didn't have this in Army of Darkness, and I wish they did, there's like a couple moments of like Christmas lights and these weird colors of him going through the portal. I'm like, that's fucking gorgeous. I mean, maybe it's a little nod to 2001. I don't know. But I just love the idea that like even the portal has a bit of color in it, you know?
I never had even noticed how abstract the portal sequences at the end until the commentary, them bringing up of just like this little things. Like you mentioned, like the Technicolor, it's just a different vibe than the weird Christmas lights, and Bruce is rotating on this thing. It's clearly the same Christmas. It's clearly the same device that they used earlier for the trees, and like it's that explosion is the same explosion that they use for like the Death Star in the original Star Wars, and like there's just fun little things. It's not no I'm not saying it's the exact same shot, but it's the same style of explosion. Yeah, so it's like that's fun. Which also I say that original Star Wars, not the Lucas redos, because he redid the explosion.
Oh, I wouldn't. I have those the fan made 4Ks where they took the negative submersion films, whatever it's called. Like so I haven't even seen the special editions in years. Not since I saw them in theaters, but that's it. So was it 97, 98?
What do they call it? There's like a special word for those. Not the despecialized, but there's some kind of.
But there's some like D something. Yeah, that's the one I have. Yeah.
Nice, very jealous. I've always wanted those, and I've always wanted that fan cut of the Peter Jackson Hobbit movies that gets rid of all the nonsense and it's just the book stuff.
Just a good old fashioned 90-minute movie.
Not 90. It's still like 3 hours, but it's not 9 hours. Whatever.
It's one movie, but it's just funny because the Hobbit book isn't the Hobbit book like 60 pages.
It's short. Oh, dude, it's so short. It's one of my favorite books as a kid. It's so incredible. Yeah. They completely. It's like why do you have to add all this nonsense? Like just tell the story of the Hobbit. You would have been fine.
My junior high did it as a play, and my old best friend Jeff, the guy that did our music, he was in it. I just always remember as a kid, like I watched it. He's like, "There's gonna be all these special effects," and at the very end, I'm like, "So by special effects, you meant a light bulb and some fog?" I give my friend shit at that age. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's for theater. Those are the special effects, though.
Yeah, I was a dick. I was like a fucking angry 12-year-old. Who knows?
Dude, I always forget though how much of the ending, and I think this happens every single time I watch it. Like shocked at how much is in the past. Like I kind of always expect it. Like in my brain, it's just Ash like getting up and realizing he's in the past, and then it cuts. It's like we get to stay in it. He
becomes king essentially. It's the ending of this movie is really just a quick sum up of like what Army of Darkness is, which I love because because I watch these backwards, you realize how every time they end a movie they change it in the next one, because this is this just sums it up real quick where it's like no we got to make a movie out of this. But I do like the idea that he becomes the accidental savior within 10 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah, and the original script for Evil Dead 2 was Evil Dead and the Army of Darkness, where this is what it goes into. It goes into Ash being in olden times, and every studio passed on it. To which then they went, maybe we're not interested in doing, like, as in Raimi and company went, maybe we're not interested in doing like a sequel. Then they shot that Coen Brothers movie, Crime Wave, was not a success. Yeah. So then they decided to revisit the Evil Dead 2 idea, but obviously they didn't have the budget to be able to do a full scale medieval story, so they just pushed it at the end, which is hilarious because it really does mean that it's like they just like remade their first film to try and then make their third movie.
Yeah. But it works out because we got the Ash we want, we got the tone we want, and maybe it's all hindsight, but would this have worked as a medieval movie with the budget they had? Because it's one of those things that Army of Darkness I think really works because it's a lot of practical sets. horses and, just the budget, I think really lends itself to the idea where, this scene's awesome, but it's one scene in one place. I don't know if I would have loved Evil Dead 2 as much as if it was Army of Darkness in 1988, right? Or 86?
87.
87. We're just picking years.
Yeah.
92.
But, no, I agree. I mean, I think the thing that you need to remember too is that we had that ramp up. It wasn't a made like this massive switch. It was, we had Evil Dead and then Evil Dead 2, which blended in the humor. If we went from Evil Dead to Army of Darkness, people would have been like, what the fuck? This isn't even the same character. Yet with the retelling and kind of the reconfiguring of Ash's character, we're able to then get the Ash that we love and know from Army of Darkness, which again, we've already discovered, that we've already talked about. And now this is making me think even further on it. Ash is different in every single fucking film that we see. Every single movie.
Yeah.
Because this, even in Evil Dead 2, it's like, yeah, he's not quite Ash versus Evil Dead level, and he's not Army of Darkness. This is like
a little more subdued.
Yeah. More subdued, but like very slapsticky, but not confident. Doesn't have the confidence in any way. No,
it's, but I feel like the Army of Darkness is I would say natural progression in a way, because it's like, okay, so he dealt with it. How do we then, sort of amp up that, he's pussy number 1, 2, sort of finding his footing. Is like, I'd say like the ending, the last 20 minutes is like, okay, he's tough, he's cool, groovy, but he's not the level that he's in Army of Darkness. So it's like, it ramps up. And then the show is, I almost think a different, different version of that in general, because then it doesn't really connect. That's like, almost like the age, the Evil Dead 2 Ash for the show.
When it's weird too, because it's essentially, despite these being sequels, you could practically view these as spiritual sequels.
Yeah, because it's always kind of retelling and sort of changing the tone.
Yeah, it's like a reconfiguration of like, this is what we want to tell now. And essentially it's like if you want to see the movies in the past, it's not essential, but you'll get more out of it. Which is so strange.
It would never work now.
No.
This tonal shift, because it's not as aggressive now. I mean, maybe just because we've seen it 1,000 times, but I mean, if we really step back, it probably is. Going from a horror movie to like a horror comedy is kind of a pretty aggressive jump, especially because the first one's like a disturbing movie, and the third one is an adventure comedy in the fucking the middle evil times. So it's just like, that's so crazy different that I'm glad that this is just before the internet and people could just experiment and just accept.
I was just trying to think of like, if we've had another example of a film series that released and then kind of reconfigured. And I thought of one, the Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 1 and 2. That does a very similar thing where it's like the first film takes a very serious approach. And then the second film is like, no, we're going to go schlocky slasher with it. We're having fun.
But is there anything in between? Because that's a brand new. There has to be something though, man. There has to be some series like in the 90s. There has to be. I mean, I can't think of it on the top of my head just because that part of my brain has been gone for years. But in our Army of Darkness episode, I'm gonna look for something just to see if there is something between a series that came out like last year and this, because I feel like this had to influence something.
Yeah, I'm trying to think through and I can't. All the stuff that would be potential candidates just haven't. It's like they might do it with like Megan. The Megan series might do a shift. I can't. Well,
when we bring it up next time, I'm going to see if I find some. If not, I'm going to bring up that I didn't. But I need time to ponder.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've pretty much covered Evil Dead 2. I hesitate to even ask you what your rating would be.
4 stars. 4 stars.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. 4 stars. This is an easy 4-star. I mean, this is again,
perfect. Perfect.
It's perfect. If you have not watched this with commentary, absolutely check it out. I think it's just the one commentary. They don't have. It's not like they have some multiple forms, because I've only ever seen or listened to this Scott Spiegel, Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, and Greg Nicotero commentary. So
yeah,
unfortunately,
you saw one, I saw one, and it's different videos.
Yeah, we're not in this era of people, the new commentaries that are releasing. They're not getting, like, Bruce Campbell isn't doing new commentaries for stuff. They might get a film journalist to do a commentary, but they're not, in terms of new commentaries, we're just not getting them. I don't know if it's because of fan conventions are then making people go, then I don't have these stories to tell, or what's the point in me doing this when then I just tell these. It's like, oh, I've already told all those stories. What's the point of me going on commentary to do it? It's like everyone's already heard those. So maybe it's parts of that, but I don't know. I'm hoping that there's a resurgence in these. I don't even know what the term would be. Legacy commentaries, because it's like we've talked about it. We talked about during the John Carpenter extravaganza, where all those commentaries were recorded in the late 90s and early 2000s, because that was the advent of Laserdisc and DVD commentaries. But it's like we need another like step forward in that.
It would make sense for a lot of these, only because you've changed so much. You might have different perspectives, remember different things. Commentary is a one-time thing. So yeah, it's like revisiting an album that I love in my 30s and 40s is different than, what I thought in my 20s. But the fact that commentaries are almost they are a dying breed. It's more unlikely that we'll ever get them, because we're past the peak of commentaries, and that's kind of sad to say out loud.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, we don't get these fun level of commentaries that we used to, but if you're interested in listening to a very fun commentary, you can check out our Army of Darkness commentary, which would release, I believe, next week on our Patreon. And then we've also done commentaries for Scream 5, Tremors, Friday the 13th Part 3, and Black Christmas 2019. So definitely check those out if you're interested. And yeah, we just released a special Best of the Year episode, which you can absolutely check out and hear me absolutely baffled at 2 of Lance's choices. I actually listened to the episode yesterday, and it's like, fuck off as soon as you say.
I was very
I'm not going to say what it is.
I was very clear that, like, that I'm not, I haven't seen all the movies. I just saw movies this weekend that, like, we can't put on the list. So it's like, hey, that's not a complete list. That's just at the time of recording, though I'm sure the 2 movies that you hated should be on there just because I'm an ass.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, my list is already out of date because I saw Nosferatu and fucking loved it, and it would be on that list. So just the nature of lists, they're always out of date.
I understand.
Yeah, but well, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode, and thank you to Lance for joining me for another one. We will see you in our next episode when we cover. Well, actually, I guess we should clarify. We are going to be covering the director's cut of Army of Darkness, mostly because we are covering the theatrical version during our commentary episode. However, we will absolutely we will be talking about the theatrical cut during our episode. It's more of Lance and I are specifically watching the director's cut, so we'll make comparisons to that. And so if you want to keep up to date, make sure you're checking out the director's cut. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you in the next one. Goodbye.